Hi, I'm Glenn, City Valley Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team here on YouTube. And this round, it's Saturday, March 20. I think we're done with winter, but it's still a little chilly out there, and we're rolling into spring. But that said, let's go answer the mail. We'll shift over to, well, let's go right into modifying an ultralight rod for microfishing. This is how yours truly got started in this addiction of microfishing. And I do like fly fishing, I do like microfishing, I do like catching fish on different rods. And in this case, I was just trying to expand things and take a look at this little microflyrod setup. And how it started was initially right here, this baby. Didn't have a micro fly reel, just had this pen fishing rod that I had used in the past, and decided to take this little B&M crappie reel, put it right on there and just duct taped it. Or actually, I used electrical tape and used the level line section of an old 5-weight fly line that I had just kind of gathering dust, and that was what I was using for my fly line. And in fact, I still use basically that kind of fly line. Started out making microflyrod 1 using that crappie reel as the fly reel, and it worked out good. But then round 2, picked up another one of these pen fishing rods and got a hold of these little micro fly reels. It was from a company called Go Fast and Light. It went out of business, but that's where I was getting them previously. And it worked out really nicely. Had to make some modifications that I explain here. And it's a very simple modification. You can go through here in more detail. Here's the one that I currently keep in my backpack. This is one that telescopes right there. Works really nicely. Very simple. All I did was take the pen fishing rod, flip the reel seat around, put a little cork little end here, and little, I think this is like tennis grip tape for tennis rackets. And I put that on there, and I used the original micro fly guides, or the guides that came with the pen fishing rod. It's very short, and you have to extend your cast or your stroke when it comes to casting, but it is doable. And right here, let me just go ahead and pull this out right there. All I did was take the butt end, the level line section of a 5-weight fly line, and put it right on there. And the main part that I noticed that was a detractor in this was when I put the leader using a nail knot on the end of the fly line, it wouldn't go through these guides very well. So what I do then is when I do have it set up, I just leave the leader section out, but it still telescopes or collapses to where you can make it into a little fly reel, compact fly reel, fly line setup. And then from there, got a little fancy. This one's my other one. This one telescopes as well, or collapses. And the only thing I did there was I replaced these original fly guides with my own fly guides right here, and just put it right on there, replaced the tip, and had to pop off the old ones. Actually, I think I had to cut them off, and it still collapses down to this. It doesn't go all the way down like the other one, but what's nice about it is it's got the bigger fly guide, so I don't have to worry about the line or leader tip or whatever getting stuck. And here, this is another old 5-weight line, level line right here. This is an old green one that I had, and you can use that nail knot to attach a loop-to-loop connection. So it starts out with a nail knot with a perfection knot here, and this is a Dacron backing right here that I use as basically a line indicator, so a line strike indicator. But that's how I attach my. Actually, I do this with most of my fly lines. Is if it doesn't have a loop on the fly line, I'll just do a nail knot followed by a perfection loop, and I'll maintain this one for the life of that line, and all I'm doing is switching out the leader right here. All right there. And usually for a leader, it's maybe about 3 feet, in length. That's all you really need. And I've not had any issues casting this one. Again, you do have to adjust your casting stroke. What happens is when normally I'm using a fly rod and I'll make my cast, okay, I'll have this hand pulling on the line to give it some line speed. And I'll have this finger here usually holding, so I'm ready to go and set the hook if need be or start retrieving the line. But what I notice is because of this smaller setup, I release the line and I let it just flop more, and you'll just see in some of my videos where I'm just casting and the line's just flying everywhere. And eventually, once I get it to where I want, where I have enough line out that I can shoot it, I'll then release the line and you'll see the line shoot. And it typically works really well. Just again, you have to, all this line versus you got to be ready to put that line back into your finger so you're ready to go set the hook. All right. Oh, and then one tip that I suggest that I see a lot of beginners do when they're fly fishing. Let me switch over here. What they'll do is they'll cast the line, all right, and they'll keep the rod tip way up high. And I'm like, you don't really want to do that. You want to keep the rod tip low and keep your line keep the looseness out of the line and be ready to set the hook. If you keep it up here, that gives you less of a, stroke to set the hook. So keep it down here, and that's kind of one of my big hints if I'm seeing someone who is first starting out fly fishing is there's a tendency for them to hold their rod way up high. And usually if I've seen someone who's been casting before is or who's a little bit more experienced, is I notice that they'll keep their line down low or the rod low, as well as sometimes in the water. I've done that before using or fishing over there at the Denison Dam. Well, I'll jam the rod tip in the water just to get a little bit more depth, as well as its tightness, remove some of the looseness so I can set that hook as well. So keep that in mind. All right. And let's see, as we're talking about microfly rods and whatnot and answering the mail, well, let's go to the next fly rod that I put together. And it was this baby here. So is that 2-weight? Or a correction, it's the 8-weight 4-section fly rod. I broke it while I was coming back down from a trip to Denison Dam. I stopped at McDonald's, shut the door, and bam, I cracked it. At least this section here, at least the butt section. So I took the top 2 sections. I took the pen rod reel seat and used the same setup that I did with the one that collapses, Microflyrod 2 in that article. And instead of using the rod that came with the pen fishing rod, I just used the reel seat instead. And this right here is the section that I used, the top 2 sections of that fly rod, and it works out really well. In fact, I've caught some pretty good sized fish with this baby. Of all the ones that I have, this is probably the go-to one that I like keeping ready to go. It's very nice. And let's see, again, this is another butt section of that fly rod, and it has a little bit of backing on this one. And the reason why I did that is I was running out of fly line, that 0-weight, 5-weight, and whatnot. And now I'm kind of using it as a shooting head, so once I get to the backing section, I can shoot it out there and still get a bit more distance. And because I've got the larger fly guides, I'm able to keep the line shooting through the guides with no problem. All right. And again, you can see how this one is set up. Right here, I'm using some 50-pound mono as a line strike indicator. It's tied with a nail knot on the end. So fly line to the butt section of this line strike indicator. Got a little nail knot there, perfection loop here. And this is the loop-to-loop connection where I'll just switch out things again. And again, it's about a 3-foot leader. All right. And in all 3 of these cases, this is the 2-weight, or correction, this is the 2-piece section right here. This is the collapsed one, or telescoping one, where I have my own guides that I added. And then this is the one where I use their guides that came with the rod. All 3 of these use those little mini reels, fly reels. Back then I was getting them for like $10 or something. And that was go fast and light. And unfortunately, they're out of business. And I haven't found another one that sells just the reel. Instead, you have to kind of purchase the whole setup. Let's see if I can show you right here. So this is what you're looking for, that reel. And you get this whole thing. So if you're first starting out and you want to use this same reel seat and this, just check out the article. That's basically what I'm doing. And this is on Amazon. I have looked online. I do see some opportunities, some some new ones that are coming out there that may be something to try. Here's an ultralight microfly up here. And then I saw some that I saw on eBay that look different than this one in that it looks like you can remove the spool. In this case, where the ones I got from Go Fast and Light, you can't remove the spool. It's stuck there. And it does no drag. Basically, it's a line holder. Which, hey, that's all you need for these microfly rods anyways. So, those are 3 of the fly rods. The next one that I played around with is I took that crappie reel right here, and I repurposed it and put it on, well, this one. And this is a wine cork microfly rod, okay? And what I did here was basically, yours truly likes wine, and I made a handle out of wine corks, and then I used the butt section. It's a cork from a champagne one, and I pretty much put it on here, shaped it with some sandpaper and whatnot. I used a press to press it down and glue everything in place. But once that was done, I used it's a Fuji reel seat that clamps on and off right here, right there, clamps on and off, so you can replace it real easy. No biggie. Let's see me get you a better deal picture here. Right there, clamps off, on and off, pretty easy. Right there. See, yeah, there we go. And this one uses ice fishing gear. So rod handle made with wine cork. There's an ice fishing blank, a heavier one that's used for, I think they said you can get some pretty good size one. It's pretty thick. And I use my own little guides again, put it on there, and that's one that I have used in the past as well. I don't use it as much, mainly because I kind of use that 2-piece one more often. But this is a 1-piece, and it's using an ice fishing rod blank, and works really well. All right. And again, from a fly line perspective, it's an old 5-weight, level section of an old 5-weight. So the next thing, from a micro fly rod, fly fishing, I got wind of the Orvis Practicast, this baby right here. And it's great for casting and whatnot to practice. Comes with this big heavy line and whatnot. Well, I ended up zip tying one of my fly reels here, and I use that as a quick setup for a micro fly rod. Okay, and I think it's like a 2-weight is what I put on here. And that said, I think I took a 4-weight also, and I got the Redington their version of a practice fly rod. And so this is just using normal fly fishing reel setup, nothing micro fishing wise. All I'm doing is using this as a quick setup, zip tying it, so it's on there, and it works out really well too. So if you're in the market for a quick, hey, I don't want to spend the time putting a micro fly rod together, go get you an Orvis Practicaster, go and zip tie your fly reel to it, or try the Redington one, their version of it. It works well too. Orvis Practicaster is a little bit short. Well, yeah, it's a little bit shorter. I think it's less than 3 feet, or maybe right at 3 feet. Very light. Almost looks like they're using that tip section of that very more expensive fly rod that they have. But anyways, it works really well. I ended up getting a BFS reel, Bait Finesse Systems fishing reel from Casking. Hadn't heard about it, hadn't been doing any of that fishing or that style fishing, and then someone suggested, and I gave it a try when I saw that the price of the Casking was not $400 or $500 like some of those other ones, BFS reels. Instead, it was more like $70. So hey, I went and got it, and I put it on this baby. Actually, I put it on a bait casting old rod that I had, but then I ended up trying it on this because I wanted to see if it would work, because it has a more flippy section here, and that's what you want for bait finesse style fishing. So I put it on there, and it cast really well. Short, very compact. Only thing I didn't like was you had to zip tie it, and so once you're done here, I undo it and put the next reel on and zip tie again. So I kind of didn't like doing that. So I ended up going back to the micro fly rod concept, where I took a wine cork deal and ice fishing rod material, and in this case I took the old ice fishing rod handle that I had when I was making these other ones. In fact, I've got several other ones still. I still have an extra handle, and this one just has these little rings that kind of squeeze onto your reel. Well, when I put this together, I still had fly fishing rod material, the guides, the tip, and an ice fishing blank. So I put that on there, got an old spinning rod section that had broken, use that as a butt section to reinforce this, and then I inserted this ice fishing blank on there. And when I put this together, I noticed that really quickly I can take this reel off and push these reel seats back, and I had a microflyrod. So this is my dual do-it-yourself dual BFS microflyrod, and I've used it both ways now, where I'm using bait finesse systems fishing. In fact, this is this latest little popper that I made out of a cedar fence planking, and kind of playing around with this one. It weighs about 1/10 of an ounce, and I can cast it, and gonna be playing around with that some more. But I do keep the Echo 2 3-weight fly reel with me, and I have that ready to go so I can do some fly fishing as well. And there's a video I think I've done recently where I took that out there. So that is the microflyrods that yours truly has. Recap of some of the things that I mentioned here. If I had to go back again and get some more, I would probably go back and get this guy right here off of Amazon, because it's got the pen rod as well as the reel itself, and I could go and use that reel seat to make whatever I want. And then here's the Go Fast and Light one where I mentioned it right here. It's gone out of business, so bummer on that. I really like those little reels. And if I had to go back out again and get some more, I think I saw it. Let's see if I can see it. This is that crappie one, right? I was mentioning, but there was one that caught my eye the other day, and I mentioned it was on eBay. Right here, they call it 60mm fly ice fishing reel. It's on eBay. That's one that I would probably think about using. Looks like the reel can come off, so better than the other one, and it's at $8.49. It's not a bad deal. I think it comes from China, so it may take a little bit to get here. So those are some backup ones I would suggest. And then again, you can try looking at these other ones. But the one that I originally was using is this baby right here. Okay, so I hope that helps answer some of the questions. If you do have some additional ones that you want to throw our way, just put in the comments, and we'll truly will answer them, hopefully, or seek some additional help in getting those questions answered. All right, all for now. Until next time, well, do check back, because yours truly is going to be out there with that microflyrod, the dual BFS microflyrod. I'll probably be doing more bait finesse systems fishing, because got to teach that thumb how to keep casting those really light lures. And I got the bug, I'm telling you, especially since I started making my own BFS style lures, because it looks like it's pretty tough to get some of those really lightweight casting lures, specifically those crankbait style ones that I like using. So more to come there. I'm going to keep testing out this popper. It's that one I made out of cedar wood from a fence plank, and I've got some balsa wood ones that I'm going to be putting together too, and see if I can get them light. I think the 1/10, 1/12, maybe 1/16 ounce range will work well with that setup, and see if I can get some fish with that. And then of course I got that fly line or fly reel with me, just in case I need to switch over to some fly fishing. All right, next time we'll catch y'all already. Good luck, good fishing.